Well, the weather forecast may have improved for flooded parts of Australia, but the financial forecast is a little more cloudy. With a massive bill to repair damage in Queensland and Victoria continuing to soar, Damien Hanson has been speaking to a panel of experts on the effect the big wet will have on your household budget.
The market is very sensitive to interest rates at the moment.
Both the banks and the insurance companies will be fairly cautious in the next few months.
I think it's just going to put enormous strain on people, including myself.
As the floodwaters subside, the financial impact of Queensland's natural disaster on the rest of the country is only now being revealed.
We have revised up our forecasts since the floods have happened, and that has meant that we think inflation will now be 3.4% over 2011, and that's up from 3.2% over previous to that.
HSBC Chief Economist Paul Bloxham predicts inflation will rise, and so will your mortgage repayments.
We expect that the next interest rate rise will be in the second quarter of this year, and that there'll be a couple more increases in the second half of this year.
By June, Paul is tipping 0.25% rate rise and 3 more by the start of 2012. Others have less dire predictions.
We never know when rate rises will happen, but I would think we could well see 0.5% over the next 12 months.
Noel Whittaker is one of the country's most prominent financial advisors.
My best advice would be to put safety buffers in place and prepare yourself for a rate rise, as it will probably come.
Transport or literally at your front doorstep.
If anything, in the short term, it means the Reserve Bank will hold off on rate hikes.
But it's not all doom. CommSec's Sabath Sebastian suggests the Reserve Bank won't move on rates until the cost of the cleanup becomes clearer.
We're still anticipating a rate hike for April and then 2 further rate hikes in the second half of the year as the recovery gains traction, unemployment continues to slide and inflation becomes the big concern globally.
If there was to be a rate rise, then I think that's going to cause a lot of difficulty for people.
Milton Latter will have to find an extra $1,400 a month, as well as new tenants, to cover the mortgage on his flooded investment property.
There's going to be an enormous strain, I think, on the availability of tradesmen to do the work. So at this stage, I have no idea how long it's going to take to get my property back to a rentable state.
We may see buyers, again increase their preference to those sort of properties that weren't adversely affected.
Gavin Holcomb is a property analyst with Heron Todd White.
There are opportunities out there, and in fact we may even start to see some fire sales occurring as a result of the floods.
He says interstate investors should look at capitalising on an already flat Brisbane market.
There may be some opportunities for investors to come in and buy those properties at a substantial discount to what they would have been paying 3 or 4 months ago.
And a construction boom in the wake of the big wet means there'll be more jobs.
That means that there is more competition for that labour, and that will put upward pressure on wages.
It could actually provide some stimulus to parts of the economy, and particularly the building industry, which has been very soft.
Wage inflation is going to be the big story this year, so keep an eye out for the second half of the year because that's really when interest rates are going to hurt.
We'll be hit hard at the checkout too, with food prices on the up as farmers struggle to recoup losses.
It's likely the result that insurance premiums will also rise, which will be an additional cost for households.
There are a couple of factors that will drive the inflationary story. That's why the Reserve Bank has been on the front foot raising interest rates.
In the end, it depends on how long it's going to go for and as to how much strain it's going to put on me.
When I'm about to pass the property in, sick it's up, out to go.
So some bright news there on the wages and job front, but not so good news for people with mortgages. That was Damien Hanson reporting.